My guest on today's show is Cameron Denise. Cam is an entrepreneur living in Bali, and he's currently on a mission to build the world's biggest wellness brand, Ikigai, all at age 23. But his journey into entrepreneurship has been far from straightforward, as he navigated the uncertainty of massive life and financial decisions, moving across the world from Canada to Bali to build his brand, changing course from a previously successful business that just left him feeling unfulfilled, and searching for deeper purpose and meaning in his life. Cam's story is one that we can all take lessons from and apply in our own lives, and is an example of what lies in wait for those willing to take the leap and go all in on something that matters to them. We're going to explore all these topics and much more on today's episode, so join us as we dive in. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the podcast. I am joined by a special guest, Cameron Denise, coming all the way live from Indonesia. So appreciate you joining today, man. We're going to get into a lot of great subjects today, all around wellness, the wellness brand that Cameron is currently building out there in Bali, and the mindset of entrepreneurship, a whole lot of other things that I'm stoked to explore with Cam here today. So how's everything going on your end, man? You feeling good?
Yeah, feeling good. Feeling a little had a little hiccup this morning. I was just chatting with Danny before the podcast that our closer missed 50% of the leads, over 80 leads the last 2 weeks. But it is what it is, Entrepreneurship sometimes it's like it will always have these bumps, always have these ups and downs, being like, why couldn't you do this? I think that there's always time to fix it. It's not like it's something that's always going to happen, and you just keep on fixing problem after problem after problem. And yeah, so doing quite good this morning. Now I have a lot of energy, so that's good.
Yeah, just got to
So
channel it to the right things, right?
just channel to the right thing. Just be positive. Everything is okay. Everything is good.
Yeah. Well, you are the, a wellness brand owner, so you kind of do need to embody that in real life, right?
Yeah, yeah. How I see it is like you can get trying to be the best version of myself in a way. At the end of the day, I know my hiccups, and I'm trying to be like, okay, to be all raised. How do we make it positive? How do we put the bright light in light?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's easier said than done, but there's always a way to put that positive spin on things, right? And turn it into something better and maybe build some momentum in the right direction.
100%, dude. It's always the case, right? Like I've had so many times in my life where one negative thing leads to a positive thing. Like back, real short story, back in 2021, I didn't have that much money, and I was selling cosmetics in Germany on Pinterest, and basically I was making a couple $1,000 a month, and I lost 10K 1 month. And I was like, holy shit, I need to change something, or else I'm gonna have to go back from Bali to Canada. And when I changed, was running on Facebook, and then that next 2 months, 3 months, made my first $100,000, and then up to the next year, I made my first million. And it was because of the pain that I had, where I was working so hard, and this thing just stopped working. At the end of the day, it's always there. There's always positivity. It's just you gotta just keep on going, keep on fixing stuff, and things will always work out.
Yeah, yeah. There's always kind of a light at the end of the tunnel too when you're in that pain cave, so to speak, and you're just head down grinding through it. I mean, stories like what you just said are, that's inspiring, and I think that could be very inspiring for people that are listening who might be going through something similar. If they're in that negative, that rut, that low point. Was there something that you might have done at that point where you're taking that hit and you're like, holy shit, I'm seeing my bank account go to the red, or I'm just bleeding money right now? Like, how are you able to sort of make that perspective shift? Are there things that you do or that you like to build
It
into your
was it
routine?
was so what I would say for that specific moment, and most of the moments I had, it's like, am I gonna be a bitch and just give up, or am I gonna go through? Is this because like this whole thing does not work? This theory, the idea of the business does not work, or is it just that like my expectations was that I was going to crush already, I was going to make millions of dollars, and I'm not hitting that. And I've had that multiple times, and when I realize I come back to it, it's like, okay, hey, don't put your value on the external of hitting that $8 million a month, whatever. Put it more into the work that you're doing. Okay, hey, are you actually doing what you're saying you're going to do? Happy when you cross out those tasks, that's where you get the reward from, not from the actual external. making X amount of money. And that's how I kind of did the perspective shift, being like, okay, hey, I'm eating shit. Great. Am I going to give up? No, that's not my personality. How can I make this better? Let me just try to knock off one at each time. And then when I finish this task, I'm like, fucking great job, Cam. You did great. Be happy for yourself. And at the end of the day, I actually feel better than when I was making a lot of money but not doing any work. So that's how I try to remind myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like sort of detaching from the outcome a little bit, right? Like not getting so focused on that end result and just getting caught up more in the process of things, right?
Well, basically that's it. Because at the end of the day, like dude, I've gone through ups, downs, sideways, right? I've gone through a lot of different things, and what I've realized when I've been most happiest and I've gotten the most amount of work done in a specific day, that's when I've been not well happy or fulfilled. I don't know what it, but I feel good about myself when I get the work done. Not about how much money I'm making. Great, that's dopamine. That's just, but that's not really self satisfaction. I get more self satisfaction even if the business is going to shit. If I got what I said I was going to do done and moving forward. So yeah, it's the name of the game. It's progress, and 90% of the time, especially when you're starting a business, as you know, it's not easy. But and at the end of the day too, it's like there's really no end game of it all, right? That's what I found out in 2022 is I was depressed, I think like 100, 150K profit a month. And I was not progressing after a certain point. All the work I did, I just kind of relatively chilled out. And I was like, I thought I would be good. I thought I would have everything in my life. Fucking 20, have a beautiful girlfriend, house, have a dog, this. But I'm like, why am I feeling empty? Oh, it's because I thought all my problems would be solved, but that's not the case. So then it's like, okay, hey, how can you then enjoy every single moment right now? Because that's all you have. All you have is a present. So just enjoy, do the best that you possibly can, and then live for another day.
Yeah, man, big time. I feel like when you're in those high moments or those low moments, it's so easy to just get caught and lose that perspective of like I've come this far or I still have this far to go. You know, you just get caught up in that specific scenario that you're stuck in, whether that's high or low, and you don't necessarily have that ability to take a step back and get that perspective on things. But that's one of the I think one of the most important skills that people can develop is to be able to do that. You know, take that 30,000 foot view and kind of look down and just observe your life almost like it's you're on the outside looking in. I feel like that's been helpful for me in a lot of ways where I'm like in the middle of some flurry of like busyness with work or whatever it is. And I just need to take that time away, whether it's 5 to 10 minutes out of the day, just to look in and be like, all right, man, this is pretty good. Like a year ago, you were doing shit and now you've leveled up to 5X, 10X, whatever it is. And you can have that sort of moment of just clarity. And I feel like it brings a lot of calm if you can do that.
Appreciation too, dude, because I think one thing I've noticed from a lot of successful people that are trying to strive is just like you're always on this feeling of I'm not good enough or there's the slack thereof because I'm not at the end goal. But then you gotta take that 80-foot view and then look back and be like, hey, I've at least progressed in some other areas. Like for example, for this year, I've lost a fuck ton of money investing into building Ikigai, but then I'm like, oh, okay, but I'm in the best shape I've ever been. So great. Or I've tested out now. I'm building a personal. Great. I've never done that before. I'm being in front of the camera. I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing this. I'm learning how to speak and hopefully finish my sentences on time. And yeah, it's a hard thing because like are your worst enemy and you are your best friend. It's just trying to be more of the best friend than the worst enemy on a
Yeah.
consistent day-to-day basis.
Yeah, yeah, big time. You got the angel and the devil on your shoulders, and it's just about which one you're listening to at that specific moment in time. Yeah, man, I want to take a quick step back because we just dove right in. I want to hear about the brand that you're building, Ikigai. I just started learning about the concept of Ikigai, so I want to hear your explanation of it too and why it resonates with you. Just
So
talk a little bit about that, man. What you're going through.
yeah, so maybe I can bring it back to why this even started. So I, at a young age, I started business when I was 17, and then did e-commerce, moved out to Bali when I had my first amount of money, and I was always driven by money. When I was young, I sold weed before I even smoked weed. So that's how obsessive I was at an age. When I achieved my goal of make my first $1 million or whatever, girlfriend, this type of stuff. It never made me feel happy. And I went down the revelation that, okay, money is not everything. That took me then a year to kind of figure out, okay, hey, what did I really want to do? What products do I want to sell? What do I want to be involved in? And how do I want to build something for the long term? Because in my background, I was selling shitty Chinese cosmetics, 50 to 65-year-old women in Eastern Europe and Europe. Not something that's fun that a 23-year-old man would want to do. So I was really thinking, and I realized that I need to sell something that I'm genuinely doing on a day-to-day basis that I care about and that I believe as a person I could influence others. So that was relatively wellness because every single day I do a sauna and ice bath. I like nose strips. I like mouth tape. I do supplements. I'm into that kind of sphere and I'm very knowledgeable about it. So I was like, okay, hey, let me start wellness. And the point of coming up with Ikigai was I was at this point where the last business I tried to start just did not do well. I lost about 85 or 100K at that time. My old business is doing okay, but still struggling. I'm like in this love-hate relationship with it. And I was on YouTube and then I found this video called Iki, right? Like how to live like a fulfilled life. And I was looking through this and I was like, huh, maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe this is why, like, this is what I want to become. And I was like, oh shit. I look at Ikigai, oh, no one has really taken the brand name. So I'm like, fuck it, let me take it. And I was like, okay, hey, what is the first step to then starting to do this? So the first step was we had to find manufacturers in China trying to build the ice baths as well as the saunas. And that happened where I flew to Jakarta to get a China visa. And that's where I met my business partner, who was my taxi driver, which is kind of crazy. And from then on, he started sourcing all the product. He started building up the relationships with both government as well as celebrities. And on my side, building up the personal brand. But overall, the whole point of Ikigai is I wanted to live this type of life where it's not only about money, it's about like living a fully fulfilled life. And that's what I want to do. And the products and the goal of Ikigai is to sell products to help you specifically, the end consumer, become a better version of yourself, and whatever that means. So whether you're a better runner, a better cyclist, a better mom, like for example, if you use an ice bath as a mom, maybe in the morning, this helps you calm down instead of reacting to your kids when they wake up in XYZ, right? I want to sell products to help you specifically. So right now, we will start with ice baths, saunas, and then my plan is to get into nose strips, maybe electrolytes, other products. So then it's more of a full ecosystem of products to help you become a better version of yourself. And that's kind of relatively the goal is to really do that and push myself outside of my comfort zone by building community, building my personal brand, and yeah, building a product I genuinely care about as it's hard, fucking hard, genuinely. Uh, been a lot of money down the drain. It's been a lot of new things that I've never done before. Personal brand, selling, building a product, working with Indonesia, all these type of things. But this is what living your Ikigai is, right? Like living your Ikigai is not always easy. However, when I look back at the end of my life, I hope I can say that I tried my best. And I hope I can say that I tried to live my life as purposeful as possible. That's
Love
kind
that,
of
man.
overall concept of the last
Yeah. Yeah, you're living out the pursuit of Iki, through your brand, and I think that's what's so dope about it, is that the name speaks to more than just, all right, we care about health or we care about wellness, it's like a lifestyle, and that's what I think the best brands have in common is that they can allow people to step into that and, feel like they're part of something bigger than just a product, or just something to wear or just something to do. It's like this is actually representing a whole pursuit of, finding that intersection of what they love and what they're good at and what they can make money on. That's the whole Iki
yes.
connection. So yeah, man, I think that's great. That's incredible that you're doing all this and you're doing it at 23, bro. So you got to talk to me about what it's been like as a young entrepreneur. Like, how have people reacted to this? Have you had issues with people taking you seriously, or has it just not even come up as being a young entrepreneur trying to make your way in the space?
Would say no. I've actually used it to my full advantage. Being young has been the best thing I could say because when I first initially came to Bali, say outside of Ikigai, when I first came to Bali, I was 18. I knew nothing about business. Maybe I had a business that could make me a couple $1,000 profit a month, 20, 30K revenue a month. I had some employees. I had no fucking clue what I was doing, right? And by being young and by showing that I wanted to build something bigger, I was able to get mentors, friends, because they saw themselves, the younger version in me. And that actually has been the biggest lever I think I've seen. And it can be sad when I get old, so less people will want to help me. But no, most of the time people have taken me seriously. I do though see sometimes that um, they don't, but majority have, and majority, especially when you're older, they really want to help because, as I said, after a certain point with financial income or financial success, it ain't about that. I'm assuming, well, I've had mentors where they have all the money in the world. It's not about money anymore. It's about the feeling that they get by helping someone, or yeah, just yeah, I said them seeing you, seeing them and you. So I've had no issues with that. However, I've had issues as a person who's young and spending a lot of money, losing a lot of money, making money, and learning who I am as a person too. Because at the end of the day, I started business when I was 17. Since then, I've worked relatively every single day. I haven't had a time to really think about what do I want, who am I as a person, and I think that has been more of the thing that I'm figuring out now. But as I said, everybody that I've met has actually been extremely supportive because I do believe, in a nutshell, that most people don't have a purpose. Most people are trying to figure out what they want, and especially highly successful entrepreneurs, and that's what we're trying to target towards is people who are either there or almost have made it or already have made it. Even people who have made a lot of money, they don't even have purpose themselves. They're trying to figure that out themselves. So I'm trying to hopefully over time that whether it's building a community, having a recovery center, whatever that looks like, I'm able to hopefully inspire them to be able to build out their purpose. Because at the end of the day, building purpose is very hard, whether it's making money, which I don't really believe is a full purpose, but anything that you do is yeah, you're trying to live your purpose is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah, a lot of
answers
times
it.
I feel like people chase after either the financial side of it or the status side of it to fill a gap. Like they have a void that they don't naturally feel like they're pursuing their purpose or they're pursuing something that's really true to them in the long term. So they just fill up all their time chasing after wealth, chasing after women or status or whatever else gives them that sort of fulfillment in the short term. But then years go by and then all of a sudden they come up for air and they're like, shit, dude, like I'm not in the place I want to be, like mentally or in any area or any part of their life, like whatever dynamic it is, like they feel like they're missing that. And I'm really passionate about that too, man. I always try and just in any sort of conversation I have with somebody who tells me that they're feeling lost and they're feeling stuck, it's like, let's get down to the root of it. Let's get to the core of the issue, which is, do you have a driving purpose? Are you pursuing it right now? Or if not, do you have something that's calling to you that you can maybe start to go after? You know, because you could be dead broke, but as long as you're going after your purpose, like you're going to be stoked. You're going to be thrilled to be living that experience. I mean, obviously, maybe you're going to be eating shit for a little bit. It's going to suck, but like you're still going to be going after something and you're going to have that motivation, that kind of that drive within you that's like at a higher level, you know? So it's so important, man. I think everybody needs to try and explore that however they can.
Yeah, it's hard though, because in the day, right? Like for me, for example, I could still continue selling shitty Chinese cosmetics. I could still do that aspect because that's just make money. And if money at the start was my high level purpose, and then now starting this company where just been burning money, and now we're slowly getting to break even and profitability, which I'm excited for because
Mhm.
only losing money is definitely not living your Iki. Let's just be quite clear. That's still one pillar of Iki.
Yeah, yeah. True, true.
But yeah, overall, like no matter what you do, if you're going towards something you're passionate about, it usually should work out in the end. I believe at least, whether it's you're pivoting to something else but still in the same realm, usually it should work out. And it's something interesting statistic is if you look at Google Trends for ET as a concept, every single year it's just higher and higher and higher. And I feel like right now we're in a generation where it's like there's so many people who are lost because it's like, oh, AI is going to take my job. Oh, do I go to before I could go to university, then get a good job, and then I'll work my way up, have kids, stuff like that. But now that's not secure anymore because it's harder to get jobs. It's harder to do this. So we're in a very unique time right now, which is scary even for me, but there's a lot of opportunity. So it's just, yeah, I said, balancing, big balancing act, and trying to decide what you want to do. And half the decision of what you want to do is just taking action towards something, just being
Exactly.
like, hey, I'm going to commit towards this because I do like enjoy an aspect of it. Like, okay, yeah, this is still business, right? Half the time I'm selling ice baths, it's still how do I optimize closing? How do I optimize running the ads? That's still business, which maybe something I don't fully enjoy, but the whole concept I enjoy. So it's just, yeah, just taking step by step and going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I totally agree. I think people just need to experiment a little bit, hopefully earlier in their life rather than later, but it's really never too late to actually go in all in on something that you feel called to do. I think getting those reps in the beginning, like maybe you have one small idea, it's half baked, you're like 50% sure that this is going to work out, probably won't, might fail. Just going for that, going through that experience of iterating on that project, experimenting with it, seeing it through, and then trying something different. Maybe it isn't that exact goal that you were working towards that makes you realize, oh, this is my new purpose. But something along that way, something along that journey, I feel like, will shine a light on it. Maybe it's a conversation you have with a mentor, or, you meet someone at a networking event for that type of product that introduces you to another line of work or to another purpose. And, it's just about putting yourself out there and building that momentum to
Dude, it's
discover that
always
thing.
that, man. It's always that, man. Like, for example, when I first started business, my first mentor was this Russian German guy. And how I met him was basically in Facebook groups. This guy posted on a comment saying he knew Pinterest Germany. To make money with Pinterest, he was consistent. Like, fuck it, can I pay you for your time? So he said $500 for 1 hour. I was like, okay, 30 minutes, because that's a lot of money towards to me, right? So I paid $250 for 30 minutes. Within the next week, I was doing $1,000 a day in revenue. I was making a couple $100 a day profit. And that was because of a risk I did, but that was only because I kept on staying in. And that was a year and a half into my journey of taking my last year of high school online, leaving all my friends, COVID time, losing all the money that I worked for up until that point. But if I just kept on staying, something's going to happen. And I see this with Ikigai too, right? We get offered a lot of time being like, oh, do you want to open up a recovery center here? Oh, can you guys do management for this? And we have some deals in the pipeline here. So in general, taking action, but that's the hardest thing. It's like being in the midst of the sea of not knowing what's happening, And like,
Yeah.
is this gonna be where I'm end off at? But so that's why when I say enjoying the present, is that's all you have, is because that's really all you have, because it would suck. And I've seen this in myself where it's like, oh, for 5 years, I think 80% of the days I've just fucking hated. But then I got to the place where I relatively wanted to get to. So, but then I'm still not happy with it. So it's like, okay, hey, am I just going to be for the rest of my life unhappy with what I have, or unhappy with the present moment? No, I should not. It's lots of learnings. And I think people, things always evolve. You always learn more. Yeah. Take the first step forward, I think, is the best advice.
Yeah, yeah. It always starts with that first step, man. Otherwise, you just end up stuck there, frozen in time, and like life is just going to pass you by, and everyone around you is going to be leveling up, and you're going to be stuck in the same place if you don't just take those small imperfect actions to get where you want to go. Yeah, man. So I want to know, like, just kind of switching subjects here a little bit. So you're based in Bali right now, and that's where you're building Ikigai. How has that experience been for you? Obviously, you're not from Bali, but like, maybe you've been there, you've been building community there. What has it been like? Has it been like easy to integrate into the wellness scene there? I know there's a booming wellness scene. There's a lot of people that are also invested in that. How's that been, building community while you're building your business at the same time? How's that balance been between the two?
It's been, I would say, hard, genuinely quite hard. The community aspect, we are still trying to, we're more now just tapping into other communities. At some point, we really want to have our own community, but it's been then genuinely hard, especially with the personal brand, because it's like you have to be on the camera, you have to be recording. But hey, what if you have today where like, okay, shit's like it's like stuff is falling apart. You still have to be that kind of personality. So it's been hard, but it's been very, very rewarding. And in Bali, I think it's the best place to relatively build a business because everybody is very, very open. Maybe not everybody is, say, valuable in terms of their conversations. Some people are just trying to sell you stuff, or some people are grifters where they've never done things, but there's people who are open. And when you find your kind of tribe, when you find your friends that are here, you're able to build really, really deep, long lasting friendships. So I think Bali was the best place I could ever build. And compared to Canada, where I'm from, been the best.
Yeah, yeah. That's quite the transition, I'm sure, from Canada all the way out there. Yeah, it's I went out to Thailand last April, and that was just a trip, dude. Like being out in Southeast Asia in general, like the vibe of the culture is so different. I felt like a lot of times people would come up to me. I'm used to traveling in Mexico, I'm in San Diego, so I'm always in Mexico. And whenever someone comes up to me, I'm always like, all right, here we go again. Like, what's this guy gonna try and fucking hustle me on? But every time it was like they were just genuinely coming up and curious, like, what are you doing here? Tall white male. Where are you from? Like asking me
Yeah.
all these questions. So that was like totally different. And I 100% hear what you mean about them being more open, being more approachable, and just like having a different outlook on life. It's crazy because we get caught up in the hustle culture over here in the West, and I'm sure there's the own separate version of that in Bali, but it just seemed like there was a different pace of life and a whole different outlook. At least when I was in Thailand.
Yeah, it's hard because like actually I think I work the most here compared to if I was in Canada, but I've never yeah, I think I work the most here. However, in Asia in a way, your money can go a little bit farther. So I'm not worrying about cleaning my clothes, cooking food, this. So I have relatively an additional day of free time, which is where I'm able to kind of detach. I think that's where some of the value is. But then as well as like really being putting stuff in perspective, right? I think even though this is horrible to say, but if there's down from my office over there, literally right over there, there's these people who live in a shack. There's two little puppies, very, very young. There's a baby, there's like a mom and a husband, and like they're literally living into a shack. There's trash all on the side. And it when I'm say if I lost $10,000 a day or something wrong happened, it changes your perspective too. So it's both people are very, very open. Indonesians are very, very friendly. Same thing as Thai. It's more about a real, genuine human to human connection. Other aspect is that it really makes you feel a little bit more grateful in some sort of way too, because when you come here as a foreigner, you have the say upper hand in some sort of way financially, and it gives you this perspective where it's like, okay, hey, your life is amazing, everything's okay, and yeah, I would not want to live anywhere else.
Yeah, amazing, man. Yeah, I love what you're saying about that perspective because my dad's from Brazil, so whenever I would go over there as a kid, it was kind of the same exact experience where like I would just get my mind would be blown within a week of just visiting my family, like all the small little things that you take for granted over here in the West that are literally just luxuries, like the most basic things that you can just go to a store and expect to find any ingredient you want to or whatever product you want, you can just go and purchase it. Like that's something that probably like 60% of the world doesn't have access to. So yeah, man, it definitely puts it all in perspective when you go and travel to a place like that. So
Yeah, and it helps, dude. Helps, dude.
yeah. So it sounds like you're kind of in a season of the grind right now. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, Jesus. Jeez, dude. I think this has been the hardest year I've ever had. Last year was 2023, I would say is similar, but I think this year has been the hardest mentally, financially, um, everything. Because we have had so many setbacks, but same time we've had so many say blessings in the same way, right? And that's when I see the perspective of it all, right? I could say, "Oh my God, this happened." Our COO stole 20 leads, sold it to another company when he quit, or first 3 months paid a creative director, videographer like 20K, but they only produced 10 videos, and the videos were not good. I can say all of these negative things, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, I learned that sometimes if you pay a lot of money, you still do not get the best result. Hey, I learned that if you feel not good about a person or something's not good, this should not happen. So in general, this has been, I think, the biggest year that I grew the most. I put myself in so many uncomfortable positions, obviously financially, but mentally. However, I believe that when I come out of this kind of season of grind, or maybe I just stay in it for the next 20, 30 years, who knows? But I believe I've learned a lot and I believe I've grown. And I think that's where the value is. I know Alex Ramosi, obviously everybody knows him, hopefully. If they're watching this podcast, probably knows him. But he says is that even in this series of grind, you're building your own character. You are that, not the money, not anything else. And I truly believe that we are building our asset, us, because in the day when you die, the only thing I guess you have, well, you don't have yourself anymore, but when you die, the money ain't there, nothing's there. However, if you have learned, tried, experienced new things, that's what matters. It's funny because my business partner, basically that's all he does, is that he's like, no matter if it's a negative experience or something, he just wants to see the experience of it all. Like it's all about the experience, because that's what you have in life, is those memories, not the financial money, not this, but the experience. So yeah, I'm trying to experience what it would be like trying to build Indonesia's biggest wellness brand, and it's fun. It's great. It definitely gives you a lot of vitality, you could say, but yeah, I would not change it for anything else. So this has definitely been a huge series of the grind. Last 6 years of starting a business has been that, but I wouldn't change it for the world because fuck,
Yeah, that's your life,
can't
man.
change it anyways. That's
Yeah,
my
can't.
life. I can't change it anyways, you know? Like,
Yeah, might as well live without regrets. That's the only way to go forward. Otherwise, like you're gonna be stuck in the past, and that's not the way to make progress, right? So let's say you're going back to do it all over again. Obviously, you can't change anything, but what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to break in at a young age, or who's got some entrepreneurial ambitions and who's trying to get things off the ground? What are some nuggets of wisdom that you might drop on that person just to help them stay the course and stay confident in their path?
I would say when I first started out, that was the toughest. I think that was toughest because you have literally you have no proof, not in money wise. You have literally no proof that like, hey, what I'm thinking is becoming to reality. And back then, and actually now I'm seeing it myself too, is just put the work in. Literally put the work in. Be happy that you're going after your goals, and that's where you should derive satisfaction, because it ain't going to be the end of the pipeline, the end of the tunnel. Um, Obviously, yeah, I could say that because maybe I've made some money and I'm living more of a life that I am now enjoying. But still, I've been at the same point where I've only had to work 2 hours a day, but I was depressed. I had a girlfriend. Well, I still had my dog, but I had a house. I had all these things coming for me, but it did not fully fulfill. So it's just going at it, being consistent, taking action. I find notebooks has been my biggest thing. If you see up in the corner over there from this side all the way to here, that's all the notebooks the last kind of 3 years of just daily writing what I'm going to get done for the day, or doing a journal or a gratitude kind of assignment for myself. That's what I would recommend, is really write down what you're going to do it, be happy with the work itself, and realize you're gonna fuck up and fail, but like what else are you gonna do, Like at the end of the day, what else are you gonna do? Because the guaranteed path of you being sad is by doing nothing, or the guaranteed path of going nowhere is by doing nothing. But the maybe gambling path of doing entrepreneurship, there is a possibility to become something. It ain't easy, but there is a possibility. And the only way that you can create your luck is by doing hard work. So just, you got to keep on pushing it. You got to persevere and stay disciplined. Like back when I was 17 and I started my business, I was waking up at 4 a.m. every morning. It's like, if Dwayne The Rock Johnson does this, maybe I should do this. So I woke up at 4 a.m. every morning and worked out, then went to work, did that every single day as repetition, and just, yeah, it ain't easy, but it's simple. Um, that's it. It's just, it, that's what I can see. Yeah, it's something. It's something,
Yeah,
but it's all worth it in the end. It's all worth it. All worth it.
that's great advice, man. And to quote our boy Hermosi here, what you said made me think of one of my favorite quotes of his, which is, if you're young, do the amount of reps to where it would be unreasonable for you to fail. Like do a ridiculous amount of whatever it is you're trying to do. Do more than everybody else, you know? Like you're saying, wake up 2 hours earlier, 3 hours earlier than everybody else, and just get the amount of practice that you need. So you get your 10,000 hours. You accumulate the amount of time to reach that level of mastery in your field, and then the odds are just going up every single time, every single year that you keep doing that. The odds are getting higher and higher that you're going to reach success. So it's really just about getting going on it, and staying consistent in those repetitions.
Yeah, and I actually look back at when I started business, like my initial first breakthrough was, and it's actually this month, 6 years ago. This month, 6 years ago, and the only reason why I had this breakthrough was I started being like, "Hey, I'm gonna test 10 products this month. I'm gonna commit to it." The last 3 months, I was testing one product a week because I was creating it, but I wasn't confident with myself. And then I was like, do I do this? Do I do that? Maybe I should just watch more YouTube videos online and try to learn. But I was like, hey, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to push through. I'm not going to do anything else. Just do this and get it done. And then once I hit that, I found my first winning product, which was press on nails. I think it was October 31st. I remember I have a photo of this. It was my first day that I did $3,000 Canadian in revenue and made my first $1,000 profit. And that was because I just put my head down and just was consistent. Just push, just push, just push, just push. Yeah, hard to say, but and I have not done that maybe 80% of my business career, but when I have, I've always excelled. I've always excelled. I was always happier with myself. Uh, yeah, it always ended up being the best thing I could do. Really, really hard for the first, yeah, especially when you wake up early in the morning for the first 5 minutes, you're just like, ugh. But the wins compound, the work compounds, and yeah, you have a chance to actually win in life.
Yep, spot on, man. Yeah, dude. So I want to hear a little bit about your desire to get into the wellness space. Like, you're talking about waking up at 4 a.m. when you're 17 years old. It took me probably 25, I don't know, I would say 28 years before I started to realize, like, I need to start incorporating some like better practices when it comes to wellness, the morning routine, regulating my circadian, starting with, doing the ice plunges and also doing sauna and contrast therapy, all these kind of things. How did you get into that so early, man? Like, and also I'm just curious, are you still drinking? Are you still partying? Like, is that still a part of your lifestyle?
Yeah, so I guess for the first question, I think when I was young, I was always motivated by fun. Genuinely. As I said, when I was 14, I started selling weed before I even smoked weed. I don't recommend that, but as I said, I've always been at the start. And when I started out, there was all these kind of new gurus popping up online, very, very young. Iman Gadzhi is a big, big one. Alex Ramosi wasn't really big back then, but there's other people, and a lot of them suggested, hey, wake up early, get your shit done, and you'll be able to be very, very successful. So that's kind of what I followed through with. And I took some of the lessons here and there, like writing down exactly what you're going to do in the day, in the morning or in the day before, and getting it done. Because if you don't, you're not going to be there. And I think a large part of it, of why I started so young, was probably a bit of trauma too, because trauma is always the best starter on things. But at the end of the day, I was really fortunate enough that I was a YouTube guy. I looked through things and I was motivated by money. With regards to still partying, like I still do go out. I still enjoy. When I'm back in Canada, I still like smoking weed. I don't really enjoy drinking. Not really my forte, but I still like to do that. But it's not really my focus anymore. It's fun. I enjoy it, but it's at the end of the day, it ends up making me feel more empty the next day, or it doesn't. It just depends. Fuck yeah. If you smash this week, then sure you can have a drink at the end of the week. If I genuinely believe that that can be it. However, if you don't smash this week, don't think you can go out partying. Fuck that. That's not possible.
Then you're just
But
running, right?
yeah,
Then you're just running
yeah,
away from the negatives.
yeah. Are you celebrating or are you running away? That's one big question I think a lot of people have to ask, and it's hard. But I think with the wellness, it just naturally came because at a young age I started working out as well. I started working out when I was 12. But as I said, a lot of that stuff, and especially with high performing entrepreneurs, a lot of it stuff comes from deep rooted trauma in some sort of way that makes you become such a high performer in some sort of way. And then once you become that high performer, it's then learning how do you balance the positives and negatives of what fuels you, you know? Like I know what Alex Ramosi, what his negative demons was like going back to living with his parents and not being good enough, not being big enough. And I see that with majority of the entrepreneurs that I chat with. But it's learning then how do you balance that? How do you balance those demons? And that's where wellness comes in. Really, genuinely. Like for me, I am a extremely stressed out person, extremely emotional person, extremely unconfident person. And I would say now I'm getting a bit better, but the ways I balance that out is journaling, doing the ice bath where when something should happen, like I said this morning, where 50% of their leads were not followed up with, I could just go rage, punch a wall, freak out, whatever, or I could just breathe in, breathe out, do an ice bath, do a little sauna, and be like, okay, hey, everything's all right. And that's really why I love the Prox and love the company I'm trying to build, because I know I'm not perfect, and that's why I relatively want to show to the world that, like, hey, I'm an imperfect human being trying to become better. Prox that I'm trying to sell or trying to help people. That's it, really. Like, no one's ever perfect, and the whole point of wellness is just to be a little bit better, 1% better, 2% better, 3% better. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, big time. No, that's a great background too, man. And I feel like what you talked about is kind of ties into what you mentioned about the personal branding part of it is like, sharing those kind of stories and having that sort of imperfect identity that you display or kind of like attach to the company and make that a representation of it is going to be more important now than ever. I mean, people are looking for that. They're looking for more of that. Obviously, the buzzword authenticity, everybody talks about that, but like
Hmm.
it really hits home when like you see someone that's sharing that and you're like, all right, well, I relate to that, or I've gone through similar trauma, or I'm also on a similar journey. And even if I wasn't expecting myself to want to buy the product or support them, I'm going to do so however I can. Maybe it's not like jumping in and purchasing, the high ticket item, but it's like, all right, I'm going to support you on social media, or I'm going to back you or talk to my friends about this company. Like it's those little things that I feel like are so important to display in your work. And it's hard for people to be vulnerable, man. It's so difficult, but like if you can tap into that, that's just one of the most key things I think now in today's day and age. Also, kind of how we were talking about earlier with people feeling that lack of purpose and feeling that void inside and wanting to explore something that has deeper meaning. If they're able to connect with somebody who is also on that same path, like that's gonna create a deeper connection and it's gonna inspire more people. I think you just gotta lean into that, right? Lean into those negatives, those positives, the trauma, everything. It's a part of your story. So you have to just keep showing it's the world, right?
100%, dude. And that's why, like, for me, I think one of my gifts has always been I've been a very, very open person of who I am, genuinely. Uh, Obviously, I swear a lot. That's something you probably see in some of the videos, which is not a habit that's amazing. But yeah, that's why I really do believe, like, for me, it's just, I'm just genuinely trying to find my purpose. I'm just trying to become a better version of myself. I'm just trying to see where this kind of road takes. And I see a lot of people that relatively support me are in the same kind of journey, whether they've already made it and they're trying to be like, hey, what do I do next? Or they're on the grind going up. And I think only time will tell where obviously my business or my brand goes, as well as who I am as a person. But at least I can just kind of hopefully document it over the time. yeah, show someone who's imperfect trying to live their purpose, trying to build something that's meaningful.